take a look, viewers, at the mysterious deaths that have taken place in the US. So let me give you an overview of that. We're talking about the mysterious deaths of Indians abroad. Let's talk about Neil Acharya, who was also a 22-year-old student, found dead in the Purdue University campus on January 17, 2025. So this is one incident about Neil, and the body was recovered hours after his mother had reported him missing. The cause of death was not disclosed. This is what unfortunately happened with Neil. Let's go on to Akul Dhawan, who was 21 years old, discovered dead outside the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign on January 18, a junior majoring in computer engineering. And of course, Akul was just 21 years old, very unfortunate. Let's talk about Samir Kamath, 25 years old, found dead in a nature preserve in Indiana, pursuing a doctorate in mechanical engineering at Purdue University. That's about Samir. Let's talk about Shreyas Reddy Benigari. He was just 19 years old, viewers, and he was found dead in his dorm room at the Lindner School of Business in Ohio. That's about Shreyas. At just 19 years old, he was a freshman majoring in finance. Authorities had ruled out foul play. So this is about all of the mysterious deaths of Indians abroad that we're talking about. Gatu, Dinesh and Nikesh, two Indian students in their early 20s, found dead at their residence in Connecticut. Two of them, viewers. So these are all the mysterious deaths that happened in the US, and the reason, of course, wasn't discovered. But now I have Ambassador Gauri Shankar Gupta, is a former diplomat who's joining me on the broadcast. Ambassador Gupta, a 22-year-old Indian student found dead in California, and his body has been recovered. What would you like to say?
Yes, Vaisali, thank you very much. First of all, covering this news. You see, there have been many instances of mysterious death of Indian students in the recent years. You have already recounted 4 or 5 of them, and some of them have not been covered by the press. So there must be, somewhat more number of deaths. Now, why it is happening, this is a very big question. There are multiple reasons. One is that sometimes the children, they are under stress because they must find a job to, take care of their expenses, because all the parents are not in a position to fund them completely. So they have to find some job on the campus, and they are not allowed, or they are allowed but the money is small. That is one of the reasons. The second reason is that the people who are in the final stages of studies, they are not able to find appropriate employment. And that also creates stress for them, and then some of them commit suicide, some of them, go under stress, and all kinds of problems happen. The third reason which I see is some of them get into bad company. There's a lot of drug addiction in US, and some of them, because of that addiction, they are, mentally disturbed. So all these factors put together are becoming the main reason for stress of the Indian children. And now they are all alone there. There are no parents. There's nobody who can share, their distress with anybody else, except in some cases when they have a room partner. So sharing is very important. If they don't find anybody with whom they can share, it causes another, a problem, a vacuum sort of thing in their life. So all that is adding to this problem. The solution to this problem is that a large number of universities, US universities and European universities, are opening their campuses in India. So it would be best that these children, rather than going to US, they study in these campuses here, so that they're close to home. If there's a problem, they can, approach their parents. The parents can visit them. And for employment, I think India is the best country today, with a growth rate of almost 7.5%. In case of US, the growth rate is very low. Employment opportunities are now diminishing. and Trump administration has placed very heavy, penalty in so many cases. In case of any traffic violence, in case of any traffic violation or any other violation. So there's a fear of cancellation of their visa as well. And sometimes if they are in a higher category, the employer has to pay $100,000 as security, which is causing tremendous, stress on employment issues. So it is best that these students stay in India, go to either Indian universities or to the campuses of foreign universities here. They complete their education, and after that they can find job either in India or elsewhere abroad. That is the best option. Otherwise, this situation is going to become grimmer and grimmer in the coming days because of the economic situation, because of the rules enforced by the U.S. authorities, and also because of the bad company there sometimes, which is leading to bad habits. Over to you, Vaishali.
Ambassador Gupta, now I want to ask you that in case the family feels that the investigations are not progressing swiftly, can diplomatic pressure be applied?
It can be applied, but it doesn't really work. I have seen in the US and Canada, these authorities do not pay attention either to the embassy request or to the request of the parents. They feel that we have a standard procedure, and what they call it, a standard operating procedure, and they follow that procedure. They do not want anybody else to interfere in the process. And I know one or two cases where interference by the embassy did not yield to any positive results. So it would not be very fruitful. Of course, the embassy can always intervene. They can write to the local authorities that it should be reinvestigated, but it's not going to bear any positive outcome out of it.
Ambassador Gupta, my final question to you is that what preventive advisories can embassies issue to students studying abroad?
I think the 2-3 things which have to be done by the embassies, I don't know whether they are doing now. One is that they should be told that they should not get into bad habits, the drug addiction, smoking, alcoholism. That must be avoided when they are all alone there. The second thing is that they should not presume that they will get an employment soon after the qualification is over. It is not guaranteed anymore. There was time when it was possible, but it cannot be guaranteed anymore. They might have to come back to India. The third is that the U.S. authorities now are penalizing with visa restriction or cancellation in case of even minor fraction. For example, somebody is fighting on the road and among themselves, they are caught and the visa is cancelled. So these kind of things should be brought to the notice of the incoming students and their parents, so that they are more careful in the future while sending their students to US. You know that it is costing a hell of a lot of money to send a student to US. It's approximately $60,000-$70,000 per year. That's a huge amount in terms of Indian rupees. Some of the parents can afford it, a large number of them can't afford it, and the children have to find their means in US to supplement the expenses through local income. So all that becomes stress. So this should also be brought to the notice that this is the amount which they have to pay for the studies, and how will you manage? Sometimes the children are under stress because of this, and this causes mental aberration and stress for children, which can result in all these kinds of tragedies which are happening now more and more.